As you see, our speaker here is Mr. Ron Powers. He teaches business at Clark College, and he's also retired from Kraft Foods of how many years?
32 years.
32. You have to go to the bathroom?
No, I wanted to say something about the Pledge of Allegiance.
Okay.
There's no comma between one nation and under God. It's all one thought.
All right.
So your slide needs to take that comma out.
Thank you.
Sorry, we teach the flag etiquette to scouts for the last 24 years.
Okay, thank you. He studied at Cal State Fullerton and is from Pines Lake, Florida. Lives here in Vancouver now with his wife Paula, and they have 3 kids and 3 grandkids. Please help me welcome Ron Powers.
Hey, good afternoon. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Dan. All right, which one do I click
The right
in?
one.
Okay, sure. Everybody, you probably have in front of you, if you don't have it, I'll make sure you have a copy. It's a one-pager. The bottom half are some of the things that we're going to be discussing today. The top half, you see A1. What is my key takeaway from the presentation today? Whatever we're going to talk about in the next 20 or 30 minutes, write down what is your key takeaway. It's something you can apply in your life immediately. And what is the way that you're going to do it? We're going to cover several ideas within the next 20, 30 minutes. In fact, the last part, you're going to help me in the presentation because we're going to be talking about some things that may apply to you directly or will affect each one of us. So take notes on this and find something in today's presentation that will really hit a home run for you. Anybody see the World Series yesterday? I didn't, but I saw the highlights, and actually there was one guy that, one baseball player that hit a home run. You've never seen it, and a guy out in the audience, he was drinking, he had 2 beer cans, and it hit him right in the gut. He was not going to drop the beer. He was going to hold on to the beer, maybe get the ball. And actually he did get the ball. So we're going to hit a home run today. Somehow, some way it's going to apply in today's message to each one of us. And you don't mind, slip this back to your thing. So today we're going to talk about 6 ways that we can use persuasion. And also, when I say the word persuasion, maybe we like to use the word influence. Maybe we like to use the word salesmanship or saleswomanship or leadership. But some way that we can use leadership principles, persuasion, influence principles within our life. And several projects and ideas where I've gotten this presentation at. Dr. John C. Maxwell, Napoleon Hill, Dr. Robert Hadini, Chris Robinson, and Paul Martinelli. Some names you may be familiar with. John Maxwell said, the greatest gap in life is the one between knowing and doing. Each one of us has that gap in our life. We know what to do, but do we know it? Or do we do it? Max Beerbohm said the real goal of education is to leave a person asking questions. So today, we're not going to answer everything about influence, leadership, salesmanship, but we're going to hopefully have some questions in your brain that we can discuss and answer. Here's something that you may know also. A calendar is a non-perishable, non-food item that has an expiration date. And here's something else. 2020's coming. It's the 3rd decade of this century. We're just 2 months away from it, 3rd decade of this century. I can remember when I was a young buck, and boy, when the year 2000 comes, I'm going to be old.
And you were right.
Yeah. And now we're 20 years later, and I'm still young. Also, here's something interesting too. From now on, when we talk about the 20s, we're going to be talking about 2020. No longer the roaring 20s of the 1920s. It's funny when you think about that. Normally when you hear about the roaring 20s, you think of the 1920s. For now on out, when you talk about the 20s, you're talking about now. The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read or write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. Alvin Toffler. person that had a very, very, very high influence on the USA in the 60s and 70s. John Maxwell, in his book, The 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth, the very first one, he mentions about the law of intention, is that growth just doesn't happen. If you have dreams, goals, aspirations, you need to grow in order to achieve them. Year 2020 is coming. We realize that we can't be stagnant. We need to consistently grow. If we want to be prosperous, if we want to be healthier, we want to be more successful, we're going to look for ways to learn, unlearn, and relearn. Chapter 2. In the book Think and Grow Rich. Anybody here ever read that book? All right, good. Virtually everybody here. Chapter 2, it talks about desire. And won't will not take you to the promised land. The chapter is titled Desire, not hope, not wishing. And desire is the starting point of all achievement. Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich book. Actually, which came out almost 100 years ago. It came out in the 1920s. Wow. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. How many of you seen this somewhere along the way in your life? Yeah? If you discuss any kind of motivational book, textbook, somewhere along the line, Maslow's hierarchy of needs came along. And what are we desiring? The D got knocked out. But we have philological needs, we have safety needs, we have love, belonging, esteem needs, self-actualization needs. Everybody on this planet fits in that pyramid triangle somewhere along the way. Interesting, philological and safety needs, they're handled by money. The other three are handled by other ways of motivation, but the bottom two are handled by money. And money somehow affects that. Safety. A good example, one of my wife's best friends, her birthday was yesterday. She lives in Northern California. Guess what? The place is under fire. No. She was told to vacate, and she was packing up her car when my wife called her. And they were going to talk today to find out what happened. But here she is, mid-60s, and you know, no matter what else is going on in the world, she has to pack up her car and go. A safety need. Dan mentioned that I teach at Clark College. Clark College has a fair amount of homeless students that are attending Clark. And one of the reasons they go to Clark is that they can get a gym membership relatively free at the gym at Clark College and have a place to shower every morning. So a philological need that they're trying to solve. Again, going back to safety needs, if somehow we felt an earthquake going on right now, none of you would listen to what I'm saying. You're heading for underneath the table, underneath the, somehow, actually down here, I think we're pretty safe. So those are needs that, you know, that we have, and according to Maslow, that you cannot go up the next rung on the pyramid until that rung is satisfied. And normally the bottom two are handled by money. And then other than that, we have places where, you know, we like to belong to, groups we want to be in. The reason I mention that is many of us are entrepreneurs. And being entrepreneurs, we have our own organization. So we have to look for other ways to be able to find groups that we can belong to, belong in and feel like we're a member of the team. Esteem needs. Each one of us has esteem needs along the way, that if I can do this, I can accomplish this goal. And at the very top of the pyramid is self-actualization. Actually, Maslow felt that he never achieved self-actualization, but he thought his son did. And good examples of that is having a very long, desiring goal that you want to accomplish. Real world, think about the last presidential election, President Donald Trump running against Hillary Clinton. And only one of them wanted to be president, and President Trump got it, and you can bet he was self-actualized. And Hillary Clinton, hoping to be president, something that she worked on for years, didn't achieve this goal. Probably her disappointment was greater than President Trump's joy of becoming president. But self-actualization, a lifetime goal that I'm giving myself that I want to accomplish, and if I don't accomplish it, I'm not self-actualized. And I want to throw in this, if I had more ladies in here, the one lady that we have maybe get joy out of this picture. But, of course, we need balance in everything that we do. So we're looking at desire. I just mentioned it. We're going to talk about it. We desire to be able to be an influence on people. But of course, we have to balance it with mindfulness, appreciation. So you can't have desire without mindfulness, or you'll wake up one day, years in the future, and realize, wait a minute, I should have, as that Mac Davis song, I should have smelled the roses along the way. How many of you remember that song? Take time out to smell the roses. And so we have desires, but also we have to live in a state of also mindfulness to appreciate the life that we have. And then of course, if you are only in the mindfulness stage and not in the desiring stage, you're going to be possibly like a jellyfish floating in the ocean. Oh, whatever happens to me, happens to me. Versus, anybody recognize that picture? What is it? Anybody ring a bell? Somewhere along the line, probably each of you has seen it somewhere along the way.
She's pretty mad.
Yeah, or no, but beyond mad. It's Scarlett O'Hara in, now my mind went blank.
Gone with the Wind.
Yeah, Gone with the Wind. Do you remember the one scene right before the intermission? Atlanta's burned down and her home is destroyed.
Tara.
Yeah, Tara. Well, actually, she came and got Tara later, right? But anyway, her home was destroyed, and she had nothing to eat, and she said, by the grace of God, I'll never get hungry again. You remember that one scene in the movie? Yeah, and that's that scene where she's at, where I have this desire. No matter what, I am going to accomplish this. And so sometimes we have to be more towards this end of the spectrum, more towards the jellyfish. We have to, of course, there's things that happen in life that we can't be able to have an influence on, but realize that we do have an influence on many things that occur in our life. And so maybe there's a couple things in your life where you have to take that Scarlett O'Hara mentality and say, by the grace of God, I mean, I am going to accomplish this. And you make that pill on top of the hill. Go back and I'm sure each one of us will have that movie buried somewhere, DVD or videotape, or can stream it somehow. But that one scene right before the intermission, when she's up there and just pouring her life out, realizing I'm never going to go hungry again. So of course we need passion. We desire personal growth within the principles of persuasion. So success comes via the ability of developing personal communication. So we like to lead, influence, persuade. I'm going to throw this in there, and sell. Don't be turned off if you hate sales. I love sales, by the way. We identify problems. We provide solutions specific to the people that we like to persuade their issues. And if we want to get more, we need to solve bigger problems, correct? Dr. Robert Cialdini said, I think the power of persuasion will be the greatest superpower of all time. So we're going to take a few minutes and look at some of the ways that we can influence persuasiveness. And so we want to establish a feeling of unity and togetherness, a sense of partnership, be on the same page. We want this with our clients in order to feel connected with us, working together in a collaborative way rather than being a rival. So we look at goals that are common to business. Influencers, persuaders, salespeople, gain agreement with a not yet delivered message in two ways. The first way, we identify the precise goal of our message. What do we want to accomplish? What is the goal of our message? And then also, we want to convince others to try something new that you have to offer them with that message. So 6 ways that we can do that. And I'm going to get your help into being able to do it. So looking at Robert Cialdini and some of the things that he mentioned, when you look at persuasion, what are some of the things that you take in consideration? See, shout out some things. If you want to persuade somebody, if you want to be their leader, you want to sell them. Anybody here running for office going to be voted on next week? Okay. Anybody see a candidate within the last few days? Anybody expecting a candidate to come this week to your house for those that live in the city limits? Somebody running for office, you want someone, you want the audience, the territory, the group of people that you want to persuade to vote for you. What's that, speaking? Yeah, okay, so communicating with them. So, right, good point. And so, communicating. What are probably some of the things that, when we communicate with them, that we want to accomplish?
Answer questions.
Oh, all right. So to be able to see what their questions are and to be able to give them a reasonable answer. And so in order to do that is maybe we want to... You think if the better you are at being an authority figure, probably the better way you can persuade someone to your message that you'd like to convey? Be an authority on.
But you gotta be believable.
Yeah, okay, so at a believable authority, be an expert. You want to be the authority figure, the expert. So, okay, so be an authority. What are some of the other things?
Are we supposed to pick from your list of six?
So we'll throw some things out and we'll make it fit.
How about reasons?
Yeah, okay, give the reasons for that. So probably, I put that as consistency. When you want to give reasons to somebody to believe in your message, you want your reasons to be consistent, right? You want to be congruent with the message that you have. That when you come and you're given a persuasive talk, that you have consensus with the people, and a consistency with the people that is one linked message. I want you to vote for me because you want somebody that's going to think the way that you think, right?
You wanna explain to them what they get out of it.
Yes, okay, good. So,
What's their benefit?
right, yeah, the benefits they get, that you being the authority figure that you present to them. This is what you're looking for. I'm the authority, or I can find the answers for you, and this is the needs that you have, and I can consistently come up with ways to solve the problems that you have.
Will they get results by working with you or whoever you would?
Yes, okay, so yeah, the results. So that actually goes back to consistency, part of the that you would get the results from the message that I would like to give.
Okay, got to build a relationship.
Yeah, okay, so like, but like. Right, good point, Peter. And in fact, that's no surprise there, right? We've all heard that people like doing business with those we know, like, and trust, right? So we want the people to like us. In fact, if you want to make a huge amount of money, I'm going to write it in green. Be a likable expert. If you just work on those two things in your life, to be a likable expert, it's going to add a significant amount of income to whatever you're doing, or whatever you like to influence. People like working with a likable expert. I like this person. How are the ways that we can get someone to like us?
Like them?
Good one, Ron.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's good, Rob. And for me, it's about being who I really am, authentic.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Not pretending like I'm this authority if I'm not.
Right, so it goes to consistency also, right, yeah, so even tie those in there. Consistent message. That if I'm not the expert, I will find the expert for you. And Ron, you brought up a good point, and it's very true. Get some, like them first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ask them
I find
questions.
that my goal in life is to help every person I can. And by helping people, they happen to like that and in return like me.
Yes.
And I don't know anybody that has as many friends in this town as I do. I know I've got over 4,000 friends.
Yeah, and I believe that. I know you do. Yeah, that's right. And you like people.
Absolutely.
Right. So, you like them first, and they want to come back and like you back. If people do business, and they'll say know, like, and trust. And you get them to like you by liking them first. Even somehow, maybe, coming up with ways to compliment them on a total stranger, but some of the things that you can pick up immediately off of when you first introduce somebody. I was watching a TV show last week. I was actually at the gym working out, and Dr. Oz was on television. And one of the things that he mentioned, that even a blind person can see kindness. So time is running out, but we have a few more I want to put up here. Let's throw up some more ideas about influence. Yes, Thomas?
Well, you just gave me an idea of liking people first is in addition to writing my own posts, to be proactive and looking for others' posts that I can appreciate and tell them I appreciate it, and even draw them out and ask to interview them.
Yeah, good point. In fact, I threw that up here. Call it reciprocation.
So that's being proactive.
Right, yeah. In fact, reciprocation is proactive. You get to be the first one to do it.
Kathy Armilas has a marketing book as well as a TED Talk book. She's in Portland and a professional speaker. And she talks about, she asks the question, who loves you? She has a book called The 9.5 Unbreakable Rules of Marketing. But the core question is, who loves you?
Yeah.
And then love them, and then so they can love you back,
Yeah, right. Yeah. And that, in fact, that same point, the ball was in your court. And so you probably heard that saying, come bearing gifts, for example, right? Think about a waiter. Actual facts, I even threw the figure up here. The waiter, would get the usual tips. So in this particular case, the waiter tried something else. He tried giving mints to the people at the table when he gave them the bill. When he gave them a mint, the ball was in his court, he gave them a gift, and tips went up 3.3%. So just by giving a tiny tip, went up 3.3%. Yes, Thomas?
Yeah, Steve Chandler has a chapter title in his book, and its chapter title is Bring It With You When You Come.
Yeah, okay, bearing gifts.
Yeah.
It's the same idea. And actually, the waiter, same study, found out when he gave two mints to each person at the table, tips went up 14.1%. So 1 mint, tips went up 3%, 2 mints, tips went up 14%. He did something else. Another group, he went over and leaned to the table and says, you're really nice people. I want you to know that. Oh, okay, the boss isn't looking. Here's 3 mints for each one of you. Tips went out of the roof. So, reciprocate. They wanted to reciprocate for what they were given. So,
He gave more than what he was expected of.
yes, right. And that's what you do. So here, actually, I threw this in there. When you give a gift, it has to be meaningful, it has to be unexpected, and it has to be personalized. Meaningful, unexpected, and personalized.
Where's that from?
That's from Dr. Cialdini,
Oh.
and he's done various studies on this. And then the last one, we're running out of time, so I'll put this scarcity. S-C-A-R-I-T-Y. I spent 32 years in the food industry, and actually many of you know I sell cranberries at the farmers markets, and this was the last weekend for the Vancouver Farmers Market. And so I was out there selling cranberries, and I was telling everybody, this is the last weekend I'm here. If you want the cranberries, you better buy them now. And Saturday was my biggest day ever, using that sales pitch. And I had people buy multiple bags. It was, hey, you're not going to see me again after this weekend. Actually, I'm going to be there the Saturday before Thanksgiving. But so it's scarce. In the food business, we use this all the time. You see it all the time when you look at ads in the paper, going grocery shopping. You can only buy 3 items with this coupon. So when you put a scarcity, you put it scarce, that, hey, if you want it, you better get it now. All of us have time limitations, right? Yeah, so if you want to be able to work with somebody, you have to be able to set your calendar with their calendar. And time is very scarce for each one of us. So we want to be concerned about the time, so our time is scarce. And if you want to work with me, hey, time is limited, and you want to be able to find the time where we can work together, and therefore time is very valuable. So if you want to work with me, then this is the time that we have set apart to do it. So those are some points, and I have one more up there, consensus. Whenever, and that ties into a degree with the authority figure, is that when we're not sure on something, we do a consensus. Restaurants, going back to the restaurants example. Have you ever been at a restaurant and you saw on the menu where there's a gold star or some kind of symbol by the particular item? And it says, you know, that we have a huge amount of guests that likes this. 82% of our patriots will order this when they order Peking duck, for example, if you're in a Chinese restaurant. Every one of us has been on Google and looked at something to buy, and at the very bottom of the ad, 89% of the people who purchased this product bought this product. And you've got to see it right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so you get a consensus of who's interested in what I'm representing and get feedback on that. I think my time is up, right, Dan? Let's see. Somewhere or another, I have the clicker.
It's right here.
Oh, thanks. All right, thanks, Peter. All right. So those are the 6. Also, I'm a certified coach and trainer on the John Maxwell team. That's the latest, greatest picture of me. So as part of this,
Can you show your picture? Just
Yeah,
a
all
little
right,
bit
sure.
longer?
Okay, that's my phone number.
Thank you.
No. And if you want me to, I'm more than happy to make this far longer. I can easily make it an hour presentation.
Oh, yeah.
You're right. Where we can individualize it for you and your team.